Wow, how you doing?
Excellent. I just got off another interview, so I pretty much said everything I had to say, so I don't have anything left for this one. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what? I'm used to that.
I'll make up something that'll really start
I
flying
hope
from
so.
my language.
It's funny. I was thinking about that when I was writing up some questions. Is there anything you haven't been asked?
I'll tell you the one I was laughing about this earlier. The one that they do ask is the funniest fucking question in the world. Is when they go because now it's known as kind of a comical thing when people ask you the lazy, inevitable. How do you come up with your ideas? I
Right.
love that. That. So and he asked me that, so I was like, oh, I had to call him out on that one. That was pretty funny. But not having been asked, well, sure, there's a million unasked questions, but that's why they're unasked because they're hard to think of.
They certainly are, especially for someone who's been around and done as many interviews as you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think an interviewer would be cognizant of the fact that probably their interviewee has been asked all the common questions, that most that you know kind of just obvious things, and so it's always refreshing to get non-obvious questions.
When I interviewed Steve Vai, I told him, I think I have a question for you that you've never been asked. And he told me he'd give me $10 if it was true. And it was not true. He had answered it already.
Well, you have no way of verifying that. He just didn't want to give you the $10.
Probably, exactly.
Hey, this is George Lynch, and you're listening to Let's Rock.
Welcome to Let's Rock. Congratulations on being here.
Thank you. How'd you come up with that name?
Let's Rock. A buddy of mine actually listened to one of my interviews and he said, "Oh, Let's Rock." And I just said, "Hey, that's a pretty cool name for a site."
Yeah, people ask me that about my website,
About how you got the name for it?
georgelynch.com.
It's a tough one. How did you get that?
Yeah, I don't even know, dude. It just came to me like a flash of like it was like in the morning, and I just jumped out of bed. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I got to write this down. No, I actually had I signed up for a domain naming service in Hollywood, and for 99.99 you get three names, and you get to pick one of the ones that you like the best, and that was one of the ones that they offered me. Kind of AI URL generator, I think.
Well, that's pretty good. It was pretty close anyway. So we're up in Ottawa. Uh,
No,
Last time you were here, you were at a little club called the Brass Monkey before COVID. During that
mhm.
sound check, you and the band ripped through a tune, and at the end of the song, you said, "Did anyone record that?" So I've always wondered since I saw that if it ever ended up on an album.
Well, I wouldn't know because I don't remember what it was, but I guarantee you it was just an improvised
Right, exactly.
jam.
Yeah.
Right, which we do frequently. It's my favorite thing to do in the whole world, including during the shows. Uh, but and those sometimes and quite often lead to songs. Yes, there's actually I can't uh, remark on this the jam at the sound check that you're alluding to, but there's a song I just off the top of my head. There's a song on the new End Machine record that is a result of that. There's a jam thing I used to do with when I used to go up with Dokken and do the encores, which I still do. Uh, and sometimes Don and I would just go off and jam at the end of the night. There was this one kind of reoccurring theme that we kept doing, and that turned into a song. So that's how all my songs are written anyway. So they're just results of sitting around tinkering and jamming with the band or by myself. So yeah. Yeah, probably should have recorded that. It's very important to record all those ideas because yeah, that's your resource for ideas when you go to make a record. Then if you do that consistently, if you record these ideas consistently throughout your your life, then you end up having hundreds of ideas to pull from, uh, which is really helpful when you're trying to get records done quickly and on a budget. You know, so you don't have to labor over coming up with new stuff as much.
It was a good jam. I remember that. It sounded
Well, if
good.
you get hung, it might be helpful. I might be on the next record.
Well, I didn't record it, but I know someone in, I think your manager, your road manager might have recorded it. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, new album, by the way, Babylon
Thank you.
has
Yes.
been on repeat for the last few days here. Oh, loving it. Congratulations. Great album.
Yeah. I mean, I think as I mentioned in an earlier interview today, I think they were asking me, hey, were you, how do you think it compares to Wicked Sensation? I go, well, nothing's going to compare to that. That was kind of an anomaly, and it is just sort of stands alone and it's its own thing. And but I think with this record, we're 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 not chasing that record. We're just being who we are. 30 years later, completely different people in a different environment, and I also mentioned to him, and I'll say this to you, when I was listening to it after it was all kind of said and done, and the dust had settled, and I was sort of listening to the mixes, and we're fine tuning arrangements and stuff like that, and the sequence. And I'm like, you know what? This half this record sounds like a Guns N' Roses record. It doesn't sound like Lynch Mob, which I'm fine with. We've done enough Lynch Mob records with Oni and so forth that sound kind of like what you'd expect Lynch Mob to sound like. And there's enough of those out there, if you want that.
I didn't get a Guns N' Roses feel from it.
Yeah, I think Gabriel was in a Guns N' Roses tribute band or something. I didn't know that beforehand, but when I mentioned that to him, he said, "Yeah, I was in a Guns N' Roses band for a while." Or maybe you just had done covers of them, So yeah, it's weird because I write the music first and not with him, not with the singer, so he doesn't have any input until I'm done. And then I finish the record and I'm like, okay, well, and I'm expecting, to hear a certain thing back. But when I heard Gabe, what he was doing to it, it really was. I didn't even know what to think because it was so unexpected. And Gabe is very new at this. He's the youngest guy in the band. He's in his 30s. He's didn't have a lot of experience. He's freaking unbelievably, talented. He's amazing, but he's just a natural. But as far as the process, he doesn't. He's not like a journeyman, in this, like the rest of us have been doing this for a long time. And so, he needs some help with that, some guidance and things like that. And then when we finally got through it, it was just like, damn, this is I don't know what people are going to think of this. This is I don't know what to think of it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to capture it. I still don't actually.
Yeah, he sounds fantastic on this album.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he's he's very shy and very sweet guy, just wonderful, very kind person, and which is nice. Because a lot of times, especially coming from the '80s, there's that stereotypical lead singer kind of thing that you have to deal with. That
LSD,
is the
right?
thing. LSD. Yeah. So he's Gabriel's the opposite of that. But what I worried about was that maybe he wouldn't really have enough of that ego and confidence to go and rule the stage. But he does. It took him a second, because he had to get his bearings, and um, we just started playing together, and it was a whole different world. He was not in that. It wasn't actually normally playing this kind of music. He plays heavier music, but he loves it. I mean, it's a singer songwriters band. So and it's a new thing for him, and he was discovering this, and then he was very kind of shy on stage at first, and then but when he started coming out of his shell, now he's just a big old cock rocker, man. He gets out there and owns it. Fucking great. Yeah.
Cock rocker, that's a good one.
Mm.
Um, I wanted to talk about your guitar sound on this. I mean, I'm a beginner intermediate guitar player, but I love guitar sounds, and your sound on this is just the only way I could think of to describe it was it's so much cleaner than what you've done before, but still dirty.
My whole life, I would just, Jeff Pilson and I would sit around, we'd like listen to records that we wanted to emulate. You'd listen to AC/DC and you'd listen to this and that, and how do we get that? It was so hard to get that tone. And so what I ended up doing in the 80s was just over processing everything and over distorting everything. And people loved, a lot of people like my old sound and everything. But I wasn't intentionally getting that sound. I was just throwing everything with the kitchen sink in there just to kind of mask what I didn't have, and came up with something. It was very unnatural sounding, but it was cool, I guess. Uh, but I've always been trying to get the sound I get now, which is just a really nice, uh, naturally aspirated, unmodified plexi. Just and hey, you got it in your hands, and it's very transparent, so it's going from your head through your heart to the listener's ear and in the most direct way. And that's what I've been trying to go for, something that's dynamic and Jeff Becky and not super over processed. Now everybody wants me to go back the other way. I get a lot of criticism. They say, well, how come you can't get your old sound? I go, well, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'll go back and do that.
That's one of the pitfalls of being a musician, especially from the 80s. You're not allowed to change, are you?
No. Well, a majority of people want their Coke to stay Coke.
Right.
You develop a brand and you sell them that brand and you get them invested emotionally in it, and it marks their time and their personal history and everything, and then you go change it. That makes people mad, So I understand that. So I try to have this balance, do this balancing act between staying true to what people expect, most people expect, and also being able to challenge myself and go in different directions a little bit and explore new areas, both for my enjoyment and for the hopefully the listener's enjoyment. I don't always get it right, but
Oh, I really like that sound. And one of the things that really jumped out at me before I listened to the album, I went back and I watched Hearing Aid Stars, and I was watching I was really paying attention to the guitar solos on that song, and that was really about as many notes as possible. That's what the 80s was a lot of the time with the guitar players, was just put in as many notes. And then I went and I listened to the outro guitar solo on Babylon, and it's super tasty and slow. And I mean, there's some really quick runs in there, but more about the feel rather than the millions of notes. Man, oh man, I had to take a nap after I listened to that. That was fantastic. So the sound that you're doing now, I love it.
well, you're never going to make everybody happy. That's the thing. And so really, I just have to find a tone that allows me to say what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's like any guitar player, so you're not fighting it. You're not fighting the amp or the tone or anything like that. You're not frustrated. And I feel comfortable where I'm at with that right now. And I use that setup consistently, and it works for me, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to think, and thank you for the compliment on the solo, but now I'm starting to get to the point where I think, well, I'm kind of doing this a while. I need to maybe change it up again and push myself in a little different direction. And I'm really thinking kind of, I need to be a little more retro and try to find that 80s thing, that the best version of that 80s thing that I did, 40 years ago. I think that's my next challenge,
You want
my
to do
next record.
that?
I do want to do that. Yeah, I'm ready for that because I've done enough of this kind of, the purist plexi thing, and it's cool, and I'll always do that. But that's what I do live too. That's my rig live. But I think my next record, I think I want to prove to people and myself that I can still do that other thing that I used to do.
It was definitely fun back then, wasn't it?
Oh no, it was not fun. It was pain. It was a painful process.
Was it?
Laborious and just took way too much time, and it was just very frustrating. I just don't think I was near as good a guitar player back then. I know I wasn't, because I would sit there and just struggle with things, and I would find ways to get it across, but it was always cheating, excessive punching in, and I do a fucking 1,000 takes. I just like, really, well, all that matters is the result. I guess at the end of the day, but the process was not enjoyable.
So that solo at the end of Babylon, is that just kind of a sit in the studio and wing it and put it down?
All my stuff is. I've never perceived of solo tooth and nail, so all my solos are just kind of by the seat of my pants. But I was talking to Win Davis about this. That did some of the Dokken records, and we're friends, and we're working on another project now. And he said, "Justin, you shouldn't feel bad about that." He goes, "What you do is and I work." He goes, "I work with you, and you compose in the studio. So a lot of people will compose outside the studio, and they bring in the studio. You don't do that. You just go in the studio and you wing it, but you're composing, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're building it at the moment." So I thought, "Oh, okay, I feel better about myself now. Thank you." So that's what I do. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
So
yeah,
in the 80s, you were fighting it. I'm surprised by that.
yeah, yeah. Well, there was a lot at stake. I'm a lot more relaxed now. I don't feel like I need to prove to the world with every song and every solo and every note and every record that I matter. Um, Not that I do or don't, but it just now I'm just doing it simply for the enjoyment of it.
I guess also back in the 80s, there was that competition too, right?
Yes, yeah. Now I'm not so much competing with anyone. I mean, Ingve's Ingve and Eddie's Eddie, and everybody does their thing, and I'm kind of known for my thing, and I just do that. I'm happy with that. Back then it was like I had to prove that I was better than the other guy, and so it was very manic, and it was not an enjoyable process. Unfortunately, I wish it had been funner, but I just wasn't as confident in my playing, and I wasn't as comfortable in my own skin at that point. I was still figuring it out. But that's why I think there was a sense of kind of urgency too in my playing, as I was sort of manic, at the time. So if that makes any sense.
It does, but you do have such a distinctive style. When I think back, I grew up on the 80s rock, and I started, just like everybody else. I think I started with Eddie. When I heard the solo in Ice Cream Man, I said I got to learn how to play the guitar. But I wasn't an Eruption guy. I was more of Ice Cream Man. But most of the players I listened to in the 80s just were an offshoot of Eddie. You seem to have your own style right from the beginning.
Yeah, and that's by accident, because I was really trying to be everybody else, but I just wasn't good at it. Like and when I was younger and listening to, Hendrix and playing along to the records, Beck and Cream and all that, I was just really bad at emulating anybody else. And so what would happen is I would by default accidentally come up with my own kind of thing, which is a good thing,
Absolutely.
in retrospect. Yeah, but I was trying to, I can't play anybody's style verbatim. I'm like one of those guys like Guthrie Govan and go, oh, here's, Jeff Beck exactly, and here's Hendrix exactly, or whoever, Clapton. I can't do that. But in trying to play like them, I kind of came up with my own thing by playing them wrong.
That's a nice mistake.
Yeah, happy accident.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I told you I was watching the Hearing Aid Stars video. Who do you think ripped the best solo in that song, aside from you?
Aside from me, Ingrid.
Anybody? I think it was pretty good. I was a big fan of Buck Dharma in that one. I thought he nailed it.
Yeah, I don't, back then we were kind of looking for a different thing. We were looking for technique and speed. And and Buck Dharma wasn't that. But in the longer view, over time, he's proven to be one of the guys that stood the test of time a little bit better because he was playing classic rock. So
Right. Well, him and I guess Neil Sean were the really only classic rock guys at that time, right?
yeah, Neil's become pretty much of a shredder though these days, I think. Right?
I just saw Journey, what, a month ago? Holy. Yeah, he was ripping.
Yeah, he's on fire. I love his playing. I think he's like for one of us old guys, he's like right at the top of the heap. Him and Lukather.
Funny you mentioned that because Toto opened for Journey, so I saw Lukather and Sean on the same night.
That's a guitar fucking extravaganza right there. Holy crap!
Lukather blew me away. He was so good.
Oh, that guy's just ridiculous. Yeah, he's stupid, stupid good. It
Now,
pisses me off.
speaking of the younger generation, Richie, he's one of the new shredder dudes.
And he's a natural. He's not like it's not fabricated. It's not that guy's just good beyond his. He's not even aware how good he is. He's just so good. He's just got. He reminds me of my guitar teacher when I was a kid coming up, and I had this guy, and he was so mature in his playing. He was like, and this was whatever it was. I mean, late '60s, early '70s, I guess. And then his hands were just so mature. His playing it was vibrato. It was phrasing, everything. He had it all. And I just be like, oh, I wanted to be like, I look forward to my lessons every week, and I just never. I always wanted to impress him, and I could never get there. And he just had it, in his hands and his head. And so, but Richie reminds me so much of even the way he looks, and then just his demeanor, and then his phrasing, everything about him. And it's just so, he's just got this mature style that's just so deep, where I'm just wrestling around trying to come up with something. He's just like, it's all right there. It's just, God damn it.
I saw him in Korea on his first tour with Priest,
Mm.
and I was skeptical because I'm a KK guy, right? I grew up as a KK fan. I have a flying V because of KK. Oh man, like after the first song, I was a believer. This guy, from the first solo he played, he converted me to the school of Richie. He is unreal.
Mm.
I had a chance to
Yeah.
talk with him a while ago when Firepower came out. Great guy too, super nice guy. He's got it all.
Father to my granddaughter, and they just made the most beautiful, cutest, lovable, uh, funnest little baby on the planet. It's just like, just what a gift to the world. And so, yeah, no, he's a very sweet, bright, talented man, and really just feel very fortunate that he, you know, is taking care of my daughter the way he has, and I really appreciate him so much. And I'm going to actually see him later today
Oh, I
because
hope you
Priest
yeah.
Priest is rehearsing at Third Encore in Hollywood. And I had to go down there anyways because I have some business to take care of. So I didn't even know he was going to be there. And then somebody that was at Third Encore says, "Hey, I think Priest is rehearsing here." I go, "What?" So I hit him up last night. I go, "Hey, are you in town?" He goes, "Yeah, we're rehearsing at Third Encore." Go, "Oh, thanks for telling
True
me."
son-in-law, right?
Yeah,
What are they
trying to.
rehearsing for? Are they going on tour?
I don't know what they. I'm probably most likely. It sounds like I think there's some kind of that maybe it's just a festival. I don't know if it's a tour, something
Okay.
coming up.
Are you touring with this album?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been playing songs off this record since we wrote it. You, uh, so we had a couple songs off the record that have been in the set for a good 4 or 5 months, and they go over really well. So that we felt good about that, because people hadn't even heard the songs and they liked them. So that was a good sign. But yeah, we tour regularly, and we'll continue to promote. We've got multiple videos coming out, have come out, and will continue to come out for support the video. And I mean the record. And we got to have a record to release party at the Whiskey. I believe, I'm not sure the date. Sometime in October.
I think the album is what, October 20th or something that it's coming out.
Right around there, we're playing a whiskey show. We're going to do some signing and do some kind of a street jam with acoustics and bongos and stuff. I don't know. He's got like a whole couple days of trying to like you know, promote the record and do a little listening party and stuff like that. So if anybody's around the Hollywood area at that time, we'll be at the whiskey. Look it up.
And when are you coming to Canada?
Eh. I got that jaywalking misdemeanor ticket so that I can't go to Canada.
Hey man, there's a
Yeah,
Tim Hortons coffee on me if you come to Ottawa again. How's that?
boy, that place like the biggest. Our old singer used to love that. Like, what the hell? Worst food in the world, Canada. Oy.
Canada has the worst food in the world, really? Worse than America?
Oh, please. Well, depends what part of America you're in now. I mean, where I'm at in Southern California or New Mexico, I mean, it's beautiful food.
Oh,
Um,
you're getting the Mexican food.
yeah, a lot of, you know, a lot of this. Well, California, you got everything. So, whatever you want. But New Mexico, or northern New Mexico, where we live, it's just a beautiful, very unique kind of cuisine. That's northern New Mexican cuisine, which is, has the hatch chilies and the blue corn and all, and everything is grown there. A lot of bison, a lot of, all the vegetables are all, local and homegrown. We grow food and we have animals, and that's how everybody lives. And it's just clean air, clean water. Um, it's just, yeah,
That's pretty rare though for most people down there. Most people are going to McDonald's every day. Come on, man.
yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's true. Uh, I think they call that freedom. Freedom
Freedom.
to die healthy.
What the hell's
Uh,
freedom? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We would like to see you back up here again for sure.
it'd
That was
be great to play. Sort of half kidding. I don't have any. I don't have any reason that I can't go to Canada, but uh, other than demand,
right.
we never do it. But it's Canada is a challenge for any band, especially at kind of our level. We're not Bon Jovi or fucking the Rolling Stones, so we can't like just name or whatever we want to do. We kind of have to have opportunities and have to make sense. And it's a big country, and to get from A to B is challenging. And then basically you need the offers and the opportunity, and to go up there. And I haven't seen that. So if it's playing the Spotted Dick in Montreal for a few $1,000s, I'm not getting out of bed for that.
The spotted dick.
Well,
Uh,
that's a club of a venue there.
the spotted. I've
Yeah,
never heard that one. That's good.
freaking club. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, I hope you can.
but we're going to Florida next week for I think 3 or 4 shows, which I'm looking forward to. Florida's nice. And then yeah, I got a Vegas gig with Dawkins coming up, and I'm playing a thing with Chris Angel in December at Vegas at his theater. Um, and we got the whiskey show for our record release party for Lynch Mob, and that's about it. Wind down the year kind of slow, and then we'll pick it up next year and hit it hard.
Good. And you've already had 3 albums this year, so we can expect another 3 or 4 before January. Is that how it works?
Well, if you count the re-releases, there's been about 6.
Okay, so another 3 or 4 this month should be good.
Rebel came out. Guitars at the End of the World, my instrumental, is out. Obviously, Babylon, Lynch Mob Babylon's coming out. We've got the Sweet and Lynch, third Sweet and Lynch came out already. That was recent. Um, Heavy Hitters, the second Heavy Hitters with Jeff Pilson and I came out. That was recently earlier this year. And there's been some other, TNN got re-released. Uh, so yeah, there's been 6 or 7 releases and maybe another couple on their way this year.
So
Yeah.
well, let's go back to the very beginning of this interview, and I'm going to say, where do you get your inspiration?
There you go. I love it.
That is
All right.
pretty wild, though, that you are making so much music. I love it, and keep it up. It's always fun to listen to. to everything you put out. There's so many different styles and different, different bands. So yeah, if we can get another 3 or 4 George Lynch albums before January.
Well, I'm in my studio right here, so I'll get right when I hang up. I'll get to work on getting those figured out for you.